And they said we are going to come into your country, and they said we are now one and the same. And the Tibetans protested. Tibetans said no, Tibet is our country. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is our leader. That's what the Tibetans said. So there was protests. Okay, so in 1959, this protest happened in 1959. Yeah, in front of the Potara. 1959, which year? 59. So 1949, China invaded Tibet. 1959, Tibetans protested, and that resulted in hundreds and thousands of Tibetans killed by China. Okay, so you see, this happened in which year? 1959. So this thing happened. You know, when in your home you have a Buddha statue. China destroyed all these Buddha statues in Tibet because they said this is old idea. The Chinese army came into Tibet and they destroyed this. Tibetan army was a very small number. So they came into Tibet and they took all the gold, silver, diamonds, precious stones like sea, churu, all of them they took to China, and they left everything destroyed. And that resulted in His Holiness the Dalai Lama escaping Tibet and coming to India. So in 1959, His Holiness the Dalai Lama over there sitting on a horse, he had to escape Tibet, come to India, and he became a refugee. What did he become? He became a refugee. Yeah. So even today, His Holiness the Dalai Lama lives in Dharamshala as a refugee. He is not a citizen of any country. And this is how the first batch of Tibetan refugees looked like. See, there are some elder Tibetans, they would remember how they used to look like that. Okay? Just remember, your parents, your father, mother, they were born to people who came from Tibet like this. Okay? Your parents were born to that. Okay? Your parents are younger here, but their parents, so your grandfather, grandmother, they used to look like that. Okay? They first came from Tibet and they were still wearing chuba. Look at this. Little girl wearing chuba and little boy wearing chuba. Okay? And that at that time, because the Tibetans were coming out of Tibet. Tibetans were coming out of Tibet, extremely cold, high altitude, and India was hot and lot of mosquitoes. Thousands of Tibetans died. They were unable to cope with hot climate of India. Thousands of Tibetans died. They had dysentery, they had malaria. Thousands of Tibetans died. And your grandparents, they were survivors of those times. Not you. Your grandparents survived. Okay? And look at this. Now, there are some older generation Tibetans. They worked like this. They worked on the road construction work. They broke rocks and laid the road. This is in Himachal. So they did this, what we call kuli work. So all your parents, grandparents, they worked like this. And people like us, we were born on the roadside in a tent. And later I was able to go to school. You see, this is how the older generation Tibetans worked hard to give us opportunity to study. Okay? So you guys do not know anything about this because your parents were given this kind of education. And who worked on the roadside? It was your grandparents. Okay, your grandpa and grandma worked like these, like coolies. And at the time, some of the children were brought together. Yes, His Holiness the Dalai Lama there, he brought all the children together. See, these kids didn't have shoes to wear. Okay, so these are the kids who were brought together and given education. They said, you are the future generation. Okay, so they later studied in schools and they were given education. And this is how the new generation started to get education and started to take responsibility of the freedom movement. This is my school. I studied in TCV Patlikul in the Kulu Valley. And if you look at this, the fourth line, that little boy there, yeah, that's me. Yeah. This is 1985. 1985. I was in fifth standard, and there. So this is how our school used to look like. We used to sing Indian national anthem, and then Tibetan national anthem, and this is how we grew up. And then in 1970, okay, this is a picture from 1970. In 1970, His Holiness the Dalai Lama inaugurated the biggest Tibetan NGO, non-governmental organization, called Tibetan Youth Congress. Okay, what is the name? Tibetan Youth Congress. So Tibetan Youth Congress was founded in 1970. Which year? 1970. Remember. Okay, I'm going to ask questions. Okay, 1970, Tibetan Youth Congress was formed, and at that time, many Tibetan youngsters, they started to take activism for free Tibet. And then this happened in 1978. This is a protest in New York, in front of the UN building. Okay, in front of that there were Tibetan protests saying China out of Tibet, free Tibet now. This protest happened in 1978. Which year? 1978. Okay. So these are, I'm giving you constant numbers. Remember numbers. I'm going to ask you questions. Okay, you have to give me exact numbers. Yeah. So, and then this protest happened in front of the Chinese embassy in New Delhi. Where? Chinese embassy in New Delhi. So this protest was happening. So the Tibetans were slowly learning how to protest, how to use national flag, slogans, what to say to police, how to take permission from police, how to go out, how to organize, how to raise funds. Yeah. So slowly Tibetans were doing that. This is my protest. I did a protest many years ago in Bangalore. So I got arrested. I went to jail so many times. I've been to jail 16 times for free Tibet. Yeah. So whenever Chinese prime ministers, presidents come, I go out and protest. Now the protest was happening not only in India or in America. It was starting in Tibet. So this is a protest scene in 1987. Which year? 1987. In 1987, Pao Chamba Tenzin. His name is Pao Chamba Tenzin. No, Champa Tenzin. Okay? So you remember Pao Chamba Tenzin. Okay? So Pao Chamba Tenzin, he led this protest in 1987. So this was the resurgence of protest in Tibet. And this continued 87, 1988, and in 89. 3 years consecutively there were protests in Tibet, and which was brutally clamped down by China by using machine guns. So many Tibetans were killed just by Chinese machine gunning the Tibetans. Okay, this happened in 1987, 88, and 89. And in 1989, the protest in 1989 protests happened in China also. Okay, in 1989, protests happened in China, and in China, there also so many Chinese students, laborers came out into protest, and it was brutally clamped down. They used the same machine guns, and Chinese were also killed. So in that year, 1989, again, remember 1989, His Holiness the Dalai Lama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay? His Holiness the Dalai Lama was awarded Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. Which year? I'm going to ask you this very question. Okay? So today there are protests happening, but the Tibetans look so helplessly like this, while the Chinese soldiers will go on like this. And this is a protest that happened in 2010. These are Tibetan university students who protested in Tibet. So inside Tibet they were protesting like this. And there is a danger that these may be killed by China. And yet Tibetan youth inside Tibet, they are taking courage to come out and protest. Okay? So they are saying Humi Piduk Nyamno, which means in happiness and in suffering, all the Tibetans are together. Okay? Look at this. Humi Kiduk Nyamno, which means all the Tibetans, either in joy or in suffering, we are together. Okay? So if the Tibetans inside Tibet are giving this message, we must remember that you may be having happiness, but you must also think of the Tibetans inside Tibet who are under Chinese rule. Okay? See, this is how the Chinese go about. Every day there is military parades like this, and they intimidate, they make Tibetans feel bad, that we are in control. You shut up. That's how they actually do this in Tibet. So most of the Tibetan nomads, 70% of Tibetans are nomads. They live on the grassland with their yaks and sheep, and they live in tents like this. Okay. Now what China is doing is, China is cutting down Tibetan trees and taking them to China. And China is mining. They are bombing Tibetan mountains. They are bombing Tibetan grasslands and mining. They are mining gold. I'm going to give you 4 important minerals China is mining in Tibet. Okay? All of you listen. China is mining in... Hello? China is mining 4 important minerals in Tibet. Okay? Gold, copper, lithium, and rare earths. Okay? I'm going to say the 4 minerals again. Gold, copper, lithium, and rare earths. Okay? Gold, copper, lithium, and rare earths. These are 4 important minerals China is mining in Tibet, taking them to China and make cheap made in China products, and then they sell it to Western countries. Okay? So United States is almost 90% products made from China. Okay? And how is China making this? China, because by mining in Tibet, killing Tibetans, taking mineral resources to China, making cheap made in China products, and selling it to the United States. So you see, this is the cycle. This kind of mining is happening daily. Every day this mining is happening. Every day. Right now, as you lie down like that, this is happening in Tibet. This is happening in Tibet right now. Right now. It's happening. And look at this. Look at this. Tibetan nomads who live on their grassland like this, okay, they are now being settled to houses like this. They have lost their land, they have been put in a house like this, and their animals are sold, yaks are killed and sold to foreign countries, and Tibetans have now no yaks, no sheep. They are kept in houses like this. This kind of artificial villages is how Tibetan nomads, Drokpa, nomads, are losing their animals and also their land. This is so something like this is happening in the United States also. There are many reservations. It's happening in Canada also, reservations. Yeah? But these conditions are far worse. They have nothing and they lose their land. And therefore Tibetans are burning in the form of self-immolations. Many Tibetans are burning in the form of self-immolations. 157 Tibetans. Yeah. Can't say suicide, it's a word called self-immolation, where they give their life by burning and in an act of protest. Okay? So this happened. Now look at this. My last phase. Tibetan plateau, this entire region is fresh drinking water source. Important rivers flow from Tibet. All the Asian countries are receiving rivers from Tibet, and therefore Tibet is called third pole. Okay? In geography, there is the North Pole and the South Pole, and in North Pole there is the Arctic Circle. In South Pole there is the Antarctic Circle, and Tibet is very often called the third pole because that is a fresh drinking water source. So when we say Tibet was once free and independent country, it is not just us. This is an American map which shows Tibet was free and independent. Look at this, Tibet and China separate. Okay, this is an American map which shows that Tibet was once a free and independent country. And this is today's situation. Look at this. Total area of China is 9.6 million square kilometers. This entire region is China today. what it includes is Tibet, Uzbekistan, Southern Mongolia, Manchuria, and mainland China. China's main population is here. China's main money is here. China's main industries are here, not in these places. What China does is, China is taking oil, natural gas, and uranium from Mongolia. China is taking natural gas and oil from Urumqi and East Turkestan. China is taking away, I said, 4 important minerals from Tibet. What did I say? Gold, copper, lithium, rare earths. Rare earths, yeah, important. Oh, let's say it again. Say it again. Gold, copper, lithium, rare earths. Very good. So these are the 4 important minerals China is taking away from Tibet, and that's why China 60% of China is occupied country. Now there is an interesting link between America and Tibet. Okay. There was when Tibetans were fighting, using guns, when they were fighting China, CIA, Central Intelligence Agency of United States, they went and supported Tibetans. They brought some Tibetans to Camp Hill in Colorado and gave them training. Tibetans were trained by CIA in 1958, right up to 1964, and they were trained by America. And they were sent back to Tibet to fight China. And Tibetans were feeling that the Americans were supporting us. So therefore, in Camp Hill, there is this memorial plaque. Okay, we are all going to read this together. Okay, it's written here from 1958 to 1964. Camp Hill played an important role as a training site for Tibetan freedom fighters. Trained by the CIA, many of these brave men lost their lives in the struggle for freedom. Thank you. So you see, this memorial is still there in Colorado. It is still there in which place? Colorado. Okay? Colorado. There's a place called Camp Hill. Camp Hill. Okay? So Camp Hill. So this is So what happened is United States gave support to Tibetans and then had a trade-off with China, because at the time United States' main enemy was Soviet Union and there was a Cold War going on. So United States said to China that if China stopped supporting Soviet Union, United States would stop supporting Tibetans. So there was a trade-off, 1971, and that's how the Tibetan resistance movement came to an end in 1971. So Tibetans were traded off by the United States in 1971. So this is my presentation. Now question time. Okay? No.